Today, we're going to dive into the life of one of early Islam's most essential figures, Uthman ibn Affan. May Allah be pleased with him. But here's the thing, we're going to look at the man he was before the message of Islam even arrived. We're talking about a person whose character and principles already made him stand out, right in the heart of Makkah. So let's get started.
Now this, right here, this was an actual lullaby that mothers in Makkah would sing to their children. Just let that sink in. We're talking about a time before he was a caliph, before he was even a companion of the Prophet. His name, Uthman, was literally the benchmark for love and respect in his tribe, the Quraysh. I mean, that tells you pretty much everything you need to know about the kind of man he was right from the get-go.
So the big question is, where did all this incredible respect come from? Well, as was so often the case back then, it all starts with his lineage. Let's take a look at how deeply he was woven into the very fabric of Meccan society. Okay, so these names might look complicated, but they're not just names. They represent some seriously deep connections. On his father's side, his lineage connects right back to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, at their shared ancestor, Abu Bakr. But get this, the connection on his mother's side is even closer. His maternal grandmother was the full sister of the Prophet's own father. This meant they were close relatives, right from the highest levels of the Quraysh.
But you know, it wasn't just his given name or his lineage that set him apart. Uthman earned a title so unique and so beautiful that it has defined him for all of history.
He became known as Dhun-Noorayn, and in Arabic that means the possessor of the two lights. Just think about that title. It's one of immense honor, and it belonged to him and him alone. So what exactly were these two lights, and why was he, out of everyone, given such an extraordinary title? Well, the reason is truly one of a kind. He was given the incredible honor of marrying not one, but two of the daughters of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. First, he married Ruqayya, and then, after she passed away, he was married to her sister, Kulthum, two daughters of a prophet, two lights in his home. That's a distinction that literally no other man in history has ever shared.
Alright, so we've talked about his noble lineage and his unique title, but those things only tell part of the story, right? To really understand the man, we have to look at his character, his inner self. And what's amazing is that his character was already shining brightly long before the light of Islam, during the time known as Jahiliyyah, or the Age of Ignorance.
Now think about the society he was living in. It had its own customs, its own values. And Uthman, he really stood out. Sure, he was wealthy, well-spoken, and respected, but it was his modesty and his integrity that were just next level. And here's the crucial part. In a culture where idol worship was the norm, he never prostrated to an idol. He just carried himself with this natural sense of purity and righteousness that was incredibly rare for his time.
And check this out. This is his own reasoning for not drinking alcohol, way before it was ever forbidden in Islam. He said it destroys reason, and that reason is the most sublime thing God has given to man. He believed you should elevate yourself with reason, not destroy it. I mean, wow. The key takeaway here is that his principles weren't just about following the crowd. They came from this deep personal wisdom and reflection.
So here you have this man, a man of status, wealth, and incredible principle, and he's right on the edge of a moment that is going to change not just his life, but the course of history forever. And it all begins on a simple trade journey, on a familiar path that cuts right through the vast, empty desert.
And you really have to ask yourself, what could possibly move a man who, by all accounts, already has it all? He's got respect, he's got wealth, he's got this solid moral compass. What kind of message could possibly get through to someone like that?
So picture this. The scene is set in the stark, silent landscape of the Arabian desert. Imagine the caravan, resting for the night under an endless canopy of stars, completely isolated, miles away from any city. It's right here, in this sort of in-between space, between Syria and Makkah, that something truly extraordinary is about to happen.
As he was drifting off to sleep, a voice suddenly cuts through the dead silence of the desert night. "O sleepers, get up, for Ahmad has emerged in Makkah." Ahmad, which is another name for the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And this wasn't some fuzzy dream. It was a clear, direct call that shook him to his core. It was a sign, a herald of a completely new dawn.
So that mysterious call out in the desert, it totally prepared his heart. So when he finally got back to Makkah and heard the news for real, his response wasn't doubt, it wasn't hesitation, it was just recognition.
When his close friend, the great Abu Bakr, came to him with the message of Islam, Uthman didn't hesitate for even a second.
And you have to understand, this wasn't some rash decision. It was the absolute certainty of a man whose entire life, his integrity, his modesty, his refusal to worship idols, had been a path leading him straight to this moment. It's like everything just clicked into place. He recognized the truth instantly.
So just how early was he to the message? He was the fourth man to embrace Islam. The fourth. Just think about that. He joined the faith right at the very beginning, which put him in the absolute innermost circle of the very first believers, right there with foundational figures like Abu Bakr, Ali, and Zayd ibn Haritha. And you know, all those amazing virtues he already had, his kindness, his generosity, his integrity, they were now supercharged, given a divine purpose. Islam didn't change who he was at his core, it perfected him. He became a true pillar of the new community, famous for his compassion, his charity, and his non-stop support for anyone who was weak or oppressed.
And all of this really leaves us with a powerful final thought. The story of Uthman ibn Affan is just this incredible example of how a person's natural goodness and their clear moral compass can act like a guide, preparing their soul for a divine truth. It really makes you think, doesn't it? How does the character that we build day in and day out prepare us for the truths we have yet to encounter in our own lives?